We're in the studio with Cannabis Health News Magazine, and we have some special guests today across the board from California headed to New Jersey. New Jersey Weedman, Frankie Swaggz, Paris, the Great Slingshot O'Reilly are all here with us in the studio. Welcome. I'm very glad to have you all here. I had no idea that you were going to arrive and really just kind of, I don't know. I'm going
to... hey, thanks for having us there, Jason.
Thanks.
Well, what it is, just to let you know what we were trying to do was just kind of spread the message about jury nullification. I'm a big believer in, there's so many people out there that believe that marijuana should be legal.
Jury nullification, folks. So a lot of you out there have not heard that term before. That's one of those things that we're trying to educate people on. Real quick, before we bounce into the specifics of jury nullification, we've heard of New Jersey Weedman for a while, at least a lot of us in this industry who have been paying attention. The other day I was watching one of your videos, and you brought up Ken Gorman, a very powerful activist from Denver who was assassinated here. You've been in this industry since the 90s, if I remember right.
Exactly.
And I remember hearing about you in 2002, I think it was. You had done a couple commercials. I think you were running for office in New Jersey. And also got some time, I think it was 5 months in jail.
I got locked up for making commercials. The state officials in New Jersey didn't like my commercials, and they charged me with advocating criminal activity. And nothing in my commercials am I saying anything illegal. I just was questioning the war on drugs.
How did that case turn out for the listening audience?
The state of New Jersey put me in jail, in their jail. I filed a writ of habeas corpus with the federal judge, telling the federal judge that the state of New Jersey has unconstitutionally imprisoned me in violation of my right to free speech. And I was like, the only reason I'm in jail is because I made these commercials. And it took a little while. In fact, the judge actually didn't believe it at first. He sought information before he actually acted on the writ. And basically, he gave the state 45 days to show him that there's another reason besides these commercials. When they couldn't show that there was another reason, then he held a writ of habeas corpus.
The burden of proof is on them, right?
Yeah. So then he held a hearing. Took about 30 days, and at some point they never came up with an answer. And then all of a sudden he just ordered me released. Took about 5 months. I was a little salty about that, but the fact of the matter is, I was right. But I had one of those dead right stories. It's like walking out in front of a bus and you get hit by the bus, but you had the right of way.
The system
you're still dead right. Well, I felt like I had every right to make that commercial, to say what I want. I spent 5 months in jail. I get nothing out of it. I just lost time. Just totally lost time. Screwed me up, screwed my family up, everything at the time. And then I just got let loose one day.
It's amazing how the system does that to you. You mentioned a key word in there, salty.
Yeah.
Now, this was not your first experience in 2002. You, as I mentioned, I'd heard of you earlier from the 90s. Tell us a little bit about who you are, how you got into being a cannabis activist. And I would say at this point you're an advocate. You're a little bit more outspoken and have a stronger voice than just an activist.
Yeah, I guess I'd say that. I'd say I got my I earned my stripes already.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think that's the court case stuff.
Yeah, but I think since I was a teenager, of all my friends, everyone knew I always spoke out about it. I think I smoked my first joint by about 15, 16, somewhere that summer. I changed, went from 15 to 16. I know for a fact when I was about 18 or 19, I was openly questioning it, to people. Then I went in the Army, I kept my mouth shut, this, that, and the other.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
You're welcome. And then when I got out of the Army, I kept having this conflict that I wanted to smoke weed, but all the jobs you couldn't do. I could have been a sheriff in my town. I had 4 cousins who we all got out of the Army. Our uncles got us jobs in the police departments and this, that, and the other. But I smoked weed, so I had to be treated different. So I couldn't get a job as a police officer. I ended up being a truck driver, which I loved. I've seen the whole country. I've been right through here, through Denver plenty of times. But again, it was the whole marijuana thing. I had to own my own truck. I had to work my whole life around being undercover pothead. You know what I mean? Like I had, like it. The fact of the matter is, I knew marijuana was a lie. The lies about marijuana since I was a kid. As I progressed through life, you got to hide it in order to be successful, and I was until I eventually got arrested.
That's a big thing in terms of having to hide things. Now, real quick, New Jersey Weedman, we're gonna have to take a quick break. We are gonna take a word from our sponsors, and we have someone on the phone.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Thank you. I'd like to thank my dad. Hi, Dad, who always set a good example on the road. And, of course, I thank Nationwide for this generous reward. The road to becoming a safe driver can be lonely, following the speed limit or checking my blind spot. Not glamorous. Even my insurance company basically ignored my achievement. But all that changed the instant I switched to Nationwide. My safe driving was immediately rewarded with a bonus, saving me hundreds of dollars off my premiums, and over the years, I earned accident forgiveness. Nationwide likes me. They really like me.
Switch to Nationwide and start earning the driver's seat rewards you deserve immediately. Simply call 1-877 on your side or visit nationwide.com and start earning your rewards right now. Life comes at you fast, so it's always good to know.
Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and affiliated companies. Home office, Columbus, Ohio. Subject to underwriting guidelines, review and approval. Driver's seat rewards available only in South Carolina.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On Grass. Runongrass.com.
Puff, puff, pass. It's the New Jersey Weedman, and I'm listening to iCannabisRadio.
Welcome back to Cannabis Health News Magazine. We're here in the studio with our special guest, New Jersey Weedman, Frankie Swaggz, Paris the Great, Slingshot O'Reilly. Thank you very much for joining us again. So we got a wonderful phone call. We had to take a little break there and have a little comment with one of our sponsors. Thank you very much to Sexy Pizza. They're located at 1579 South Pearl Street in Denver. And you can reach them at 303-830-8111. So we left off with being a young teenager and having to hide our cannabis use. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the big problem with that is we get confronted, or we are confronted with either our parents or the law. And it sounds like the latter of those two was one of the big ones that confronted your situation.
Eventually, it was the law. I mean, I went until I was 33 before I ever got arrested. So I got myself solidly in middle class. I had my own business, my own house, everything. But I was a huge pothead. Mm-hmm. And in 1997, I got busted basically playing middleman on a shipment of swag. Now I can call it swag. But anyway, a shipment of marijuana from Arizona to New Jersey. And if you live in a state like New Jersey, I mean, this is how you get your weed. I mean, it comes from somewhere else. You don't have massive growing operations, and 2 or 3 people chip in on a, get a.
And this was the 80s, right?
This was 1997.
97, excuse me.
And I'll admit, basically, throughout the 90s, I had got myself involved in, quite a few marijuana smuggling operations, as you want to call it. But you know what? I still don't feel like I did anything wrong. I don't care if it's 1 pound of marijuana or 1,000 pounds of marijuana. No amount of marijuana should be illegal. And
I would agree with you on that one.
And,
so I think we should all kind of look at the details of what that entails. But your story is phenomenal because you've confronted all this head on.
Yeah. Well, trust me, I would much rather pay taxes on that marijuana than have been in prison for it. But in 1997, what happened was I got arrested, and when I got read my Miranda rights, and I totally heard this a million times, everyone gets read it. anything you say and do can and will be used against you, right? Well, right then and there, I also knew, well, it can also be used for you, you know? And I felt that if it's a contest between who's right and wrong in court with a jury of my peers, I would just simply argue that the law was wrong and people would agree with me and side with me. So I came out with this concept. Well, I didn't come out with the concept, but I tried to encompass the concept of jury nullification in a marijuana case. And it had happened before, so I'm not this great marijuana genius who came up with it.
So you bring
myself,
up a big reference, which is the jury nullification, and that actually is something that's fascinating to me. I think all this kind of ties full circle. But there's a woman named Laura Creho.
I used to be in contact with her. I remember her whole story.
Yeah, and so she also confronted a jury nullification here in Colorado.
Right, but she did it from the standpoint of a juror.
Right. And so I'm glad you bring that up, because this is a very important piece of information that the listening audience, all of us, really need to be aware of. We forget that there are three components to our government, and one of the most powerful ones is us. Mm-hmm. And we don't have to vote guilty or not guilty, but we can also say that person is innocent and that law is nullified. It is null and void because we do not support it. We don't have to abide by what the judge says to us.
You only need one person to feel that way.
Right. So could you talk more about that? That's a big one.
Well, what happened, I'll go back up just a little bit. What happened was, after I got arrested, part of my whole plan to make sure that my jurors understood jury nullification was within 3 months of getting arrested, I had got enough signatures and turned them in to run for Camden County Freeholder's office. And then I thought about it. A couple weeks later, I realized, wait a minute, I can run for a state office and a federal office at the same time. So then I got signatures again, and I ran for U.S. Congress in the 1st District in New Jersey, all under the Legalized Marijuana Party. I kept holding public events to garner publicity, but I was also, everything was geared towards making sure that one day these jurors would know this guy. Like, when they faced him, I'm that guy. I'm that guy that ran for the weed, ran for legalizing marijuana. Right. That's the guy's always talking about. I got myself into the public on purpose for the sole purpose of convincing one person on my jury that I was right. And when I tell you, when I first started doing all my little gimmicks, smoking weed in public, driving around in a weed mobile, that was the first time I had the concept of having a weed mobile. I had a webcam. I used to come on TV and would come on web every night at 4:00 and smoke weed. And, I was calling talk shows. I just made myself that guy.
Yeah.
On purpose.
That public relations component, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? None of the reporters in my area ever heard of jury nullification. Everywhere I talked, no one understood it. And at first, even the prosecutor kind of laughed me off. But it took 3 years for me to finally come to trial, and by the time I came to trial, that was what the whole argument was about, to stop this guy from doing this. You can't let him do this. You can't let him, that was all the pretrial hearings, everything was about it. I said I was not going to take a plea. Unfortunately, 3 days into the trial, I did, and I've always regretted it. I did. They did bribe me with a very, very lenient sentence.
Their plea bargain.
And I'll admit it. I was calling, prior to the trial, I was calling plea bargains, bribery by the state. Right. I had made public pronouncements that I would never take a plea.
Well, that's a tough situation to be in, because it's economic. It affects your family. It affects your own life. It affects so many things. And honestly, I think they use that as a way to manipulate a lot of us to take that plea, to cop that plea, if you will. Mm-hmm. And they know, honestly, that when they come at us with these pleas, that if we knew as a whole, as a community, what was happening, we could beat all this. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, when people like yourself are confronted with these situations, it's just you. Mm-hmm. You're faced with educating people and your battle, instead of having the whole community on your side.
And paying bail, losing your job.
Yeah. And if it involves a
not
DUID,
being allowed
the
to
tests.
Be the football coach to your kid. And man, it goes way
How many
deeper.
Kids do you have?
I have 5.
Nice.
But there was, I remember that. being this loud vocal guy who talked about legalizing marijuana. I wanted to be the assistant coach with they were looking for an assistant coach for my son's football team. The dude told me no, because you're the weed man.
You know what's funny about that, and we all know this if we really pay attention to mainstream media, is that we see a lot of the athletes out there, Michael Phelps, and we have a couple Iditarod, the dog sled race up in Alaska people, football players, baseball players
NBA
who are actually
players.
the best of what they do, and they use cannabis.
Lawyers, judges.
And they're probably parents too, like us. You know, it's amazing. So sorry to jump in there, but please talk more about how this all began again.
Well, again, at that time, like I said, I did take it to trial after 3 years. I got busted in '97. I took it to trial. The whole jury nullification defense. I brought it to the local media attention in New Jersey. I created my whole persona, but in the end, I took the deal.
So at that point, you now are infuriated.
Mm-hmm.
You're frustrated by the plea deal. You look back. I know a lot of people look back at their pleas and they say, "Man, I wish I didn't do that."
Yeah.
It's hard to go either way.
And I won. I have to tell you something too. I took the plea on a stipulation that I'd be allowed to poll the jury, and everyone thought it was unusual. But the judge let me poll the jury, and I had 5. I had 5. I immediately tried to withdraw my plea. I waited about a month, and then I tried to withdraw my plea.
That's a really
and they wouldn't let me withdraw
amazing
my plea.
piece or amazing story.
Yeah.
It's just to have the
newspapers wrote about
the energy to ask.
They're like, dude would have won.
Wow.
And he took
How'd you feel?
Took the deal. Like I said, I was mad at myself. I blinked.
But what did you?
For 3 years, I was like this solid rock that was not going.
What did you do at that?
I'm going to knock the state
Obviously,
out.
it did something to you, though.
It made me mad.
Yeah, there we go. Right.
I've been mad at myself though for 10 years in this state.
But you're taking that energy. You're somebody who's not mad at the system and going, literally, destroying it or trying to disrupt it in any way from the normal perspective, if you will. You're taking that energy and you have harnessed it into educating people. You moved to California, where you are now traveling from, and opened up a medical marijuana center.
Right.
And so,
actually,
a dispenser. Excuse me. In Colorado, we call them centers.
Right. But what made mine even different was I brought the religious aspect into it. I actually incorporated as a religious organization, as a Rastafarian temple, and I just made that one of my missions, one of my goals of the church, to provide marijuana to sick people, and I would comply with the state medical marijuana laws.
Or Proposition 215.
Right, and that's basically how I operated. And at some point, I even got rated out there, but I won my case, my arguments on a state level.
That
in
was relatively recent.
Yeah, actually, it went on for a year and a half, but it was in the courts. I wasn't in jail or anything. It got treated as a civil case, and ultimately I won. Actually, in November, the state of California dropped all charges.
Congratulations,
and,
that's huge.
And I won. It was short-lived, though.
We'll
get to that.
And I'm sure a lot of stuff happened in the middle there between 97 and that case.
Yeah, but I have to tell you what happened, though.
Please, there's a lot of stories that we were talking about earlier. I'd like you to not even touch on, but if you can get into the details.
Well, yeah, there's a whole bunch of stories I can say in between. But ultimately what happened, though, after everything that happened to me in New Jersey, trials and tribulations, the runs for office, all that, because I constantly ran for office. That was one of the promises I made in the 90s, that I would run for office every year under the legalized marijuana party until it was legal. So I've run for office like 12 times.
Wow.
So
those of you listening out there, it can be done. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but once you figure it out, it is pretty simple.
Yeah, and again, it's just publicity. Yeah. I've made my face the face of marijuana legalization in New Jersey. I mean, I don't care anybody who thinks about it. You can't Google New Jersey without me popping up.
Right.
Throw marijuana in it is me.
we did have a little tough time searching for that video from, I think it was Philadelphia, when you were arrested for smoking for Sacrament.
Put in the search engine, no you can't have my marijuana.
Oh, there you go, folks. No, you can't have my marijuana. We were searching for New Jersey Weedman and Liberty Bell and Philadelphia and smoking joint in front of law enforcement.
Yeah,
we think differently, I guess.
Then you know what? I've always had an aspect of civil disobedience to me. You know, it doesn't mean you have to be violent, but I definitely confront things, and I
have so much respect for you saying that.
Yeah.
That's a really big part of my life. I used to go to Washington, D.C. I'm originally from New York, and we used to go to D.C. and do the abortion marches and the nuclear protests and everything, whatever, down the road. And honestly, I think that's why we're all here today. This is our civic duty to address community issues. And what we're talking about is the health and betterment of our society, taking away the pressure and fear and responsibility of our society, or burden, if you will, that the law enforcement puts on us, and move it to something that we can use that betters our lives in terms of health and society and community. So, jumping ahead, you are now headed back to New Jersey. And like apparently, deja vu big time. You apparently were wherever, and I want you to get to the story, but you had a pound of cannabis. And for those of you out there who are new listeners and you hear, oh my gosh, it's a pound of cannabis is really not that much.
Cigarettes.
For those of us, right, thank you for that reference, because you actually have a video and a picture, a great reference, and I think you really nailed it on that one. New Jersey Weedman is pictured holding a carton of cigarettes, which weigh roughly a pound of tobacco, and then you hold up a pound of cannabis as well. Now, that said, if we take that a step further and we are ingesting or we're using it as lotion, so on and so forth, we could easily, justify, if you will, I hate using that word, many more pounds. I was acquitted of possessing 2 pounds, 2 ounces and concentrates, and they tried to get me for 36 plants, I think it was. That said, talk a little bit about the people that you experienced coming into your dispensary, both on the medical side, but also from the Rastafarian perspective for religious use. And this is a subject that we're going to get more into in the future. We have a guest from New Hampshire who's going to be coming on speaking about his religious upbringing with Christianity and Rastafarian beliefs. But tell us a little bit more about what your experiences are when people came in your shop.
Well, I'll back up to even before the shop. As a kid, as a teenager, when I first started smoking marijuana and this, that, and the other, I mean, I lived not too far from a community of Caribbeans, and I don't want to just say Jamaicans, because there were Belizeans, there were West Indians, there were Dominicans. Anyway, and I came in contact with Rastafarians, and I instantly understood the difference, why they smoked it. And at first, I definitely referred to them as them as a kid. As I got older, and I moved away from the traditional Southern Baptist upbringing that most Black Americans or African Americans are brought up under. I kind of moved away from that anyway. I explored a couple different aspects of religion and higher being and things like that.
Spirituality,
right.
Kind of thing.
Exactly. Maybe it was. I mean, sometimes people try to throw dirt on it and say, well, you just want to smoke weed, that's all. But you know what? There was other things that attracted me to the religion, the peace and love, the cultural aspect of it, the music. I mean, I long ago stopped looking at Bob Marley as like a singer. I mean, to me, he was a preacher, a prophet, a sermon. I listened to his words.
Yeah.
So anyway, when I moved to California, and I wanted to open a dispensary, a shop, I wanted to make it different. I wanted to make it a unique place where I brought the religious aspect to the church, to the temple, to the dispensary movement, or however you want to call it. And so I opened the Liberty Bell Temple. I called it a Rastafarian temple on Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywood. And to me, it was like I went from Camden County Jail in New Jersey to Hollywood Boulevard in California. Like, I felt like I had a success story. I had actually ended up on TMZ a couple times. Everyone in New Jersey started watching me, and it was covered. It was like, I felt like the guy who yelled, like, I don't even know how to describe it. The guy who yelled that the sky was going to fall. And you're like, no, it's not. No, it's not. I was that guy. No, it's not.
Chicken Little.
Yeah, I was Chicken Little. Like, no, it's not. It's not going to fall. You know, like, I proved it by I went to California. I did everything I talked about in New Jersey. All them people thought I was a wacko. Now, wow, look at me now. You know, and
first they call us crazy, then they get mad at us, or
right.
The whole sequence, and then they love us, right? Yeah.
Right, and I went through that, and then I went home on a visit. Like, I already had my end story. Like, to be honest with you, I wrote a book, everything. Like I said, I was on TMZ. Yeah. The president knew about me because I had a party for the president. Do you know that? I had a party for President Obama. Yeah, Google that. NJ Weedman and Obama party. Like, because remember, he said, now I have to admit real quick, I'm going to take a sidebar.
Please do.
I'm kind of extremely upset with Obama's marijuana policy. Back to where I was. And in 2008, when he was running for office, he promised that he was going to not utilize Justice Department funds to invade states' rights and this, that, and the other, right?
Ogden memo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At some point, he initiated the policy. The holder got up in October of 2009 or whatever it was and said the policy has changed. And then, I had this party in April, actually, of 2010. And, in March of 2010, a whole Obama party. The next month, April, I go home. I go to New Jersey. I brought some marijuana with me. I brought a pound of marijuana with me. It was my pound of marijuana. I carried it on the plane.
So this is all personal use, and this is an interesting topic. This gets into some other legal things that I came across in my case. And not to interrupt there, sorry, New Jersey Weedman. I just wanted to take a quick break, and we're going to do a little reference from our sponsors and get a good hello from Gary Johnson out there, hopefully, our presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party, not ours, but one of the different parties out there. So please come on back to Cannabis Health News Magazine and join us again for continuing this conversation with New Jersey Weedman. And when we come back, I definitely want to get to our other guests and what y'all bring to the table. You have some amazing skills, I understand. I haven't heard them myself yet, but hopefully we'll get a little flavor too. So we'll be back in a second. Thank you very much.
California's Attorney General has determined that the Repeal Cannabis Prohibition Act will save hundreds of millions of dollars from our overburdened justice system while creating hundreds of millions in new tax revenues from new sustainable jobs and industries that are friendly to our environment. But we can't do it without your help. We are seeking your donations to get on the ballot. Please go to repealcannabisprohibition.org to learn more about how you can help. It's time to end the war on cannabis and hemp in California. It's time to end the madness. Paid for by Sensible Californians Incorporated.
Experience the healing power of flowers at the 2011 Best Meds Competition winner in Colorado Springs. Canna Caregivers off North Academy Boulevard and the Canna Center on Power South of Constitution. Call us at 719-597-6685 or 719-597-9333.
What's up, everybody? This is J-Dub.
And this is Dustin with the Weed Pimps. We're just coming to let you know that we have a shop open at 62A Mount View Lane, and we're here for all your wholesale needs. We're ready to fill your store's shelf. We have Weed Pimp and Green Monster Glass. We have Ganja Girl, Dope Stars to keep the moisture in your meds. We're straight out of Colorado Springs. We have all your custom screen printing needs. Give us a call. If you'd like an appointment, we'll be here for you at 7 a.m. or late at night. 719-375-1561.
Don't forget to check us out. Coming up, we're going to be at the Patients Out of Time event Wednesday, March 14th, 5 to 8 p.m. at Jake's Food and Spirits. Then you can catch us at the Freedom Festival on 420 right here in Colorado Springs at America the Beautiful Park. After that, we will be at the High Times Cannabis Cup on the 21st and 22nd of April. And you can also like us at We Pimp Clothing on Facebook and follow our YouTube channel, WPTV JDub. Don't forget to always take big rips and have even bigger dreams.
Yo, who got it better than me? Better line on the block, rolling VIP. Sick whip, thick rims, fat rocks, I got them. Shining like a superstar from top to bottom. You need a sugar daddy, I'm the Mac. And if you need a dollar, holla, cause I got a whole stack. What? Rolling VIP. What? Rolling VIP.
Better night.
What?
Fries.
Life comes at you fast.
Thank you.
A nationwide annuity could guarantee you income for life.
Nationwide is on the side.
Boom. This Frankie Swaggz from Royal Star, and I'm listening to iCannabisRadio.
Welcome back to Cannabis Health News Magazine. We're back in the studio with New Jersey Weedman, Frankie Swaggz, Paris the Great, Slingshot O'Reilly. So, New Jersey Weedman, please tell us some more. Who are the folks you have with you?
All right, well, you know, we're out here spreading this message about jury nullification, and I think one of the ways to reach young people and reach certain communities is through music. So I've asked a couple of good friends of mine, a couple of associates. Frankie Swaggz, she's from New Jersey. I've known her a few years. She's an artist, and they've come up with a song, Jury Nullification. Frankie Swaggz and Slingshot O'Reilly. Slingshot is, you know, it's funny. I had a dispensary. Slingshot, I remember the first day when she walked in, asking about how it all works, this, that, and the other. I never would imagine 3 years later she'd be in Denver with me, hanging out. But anyway, here's something they put together. I'm going to help them out a little bit here. Jury nullification. Most people don't understand that a jury has a right to judge the law as well as the evidence. A jury is allowed to look at a law and utilize its own conscience to decide if a law should be legal, is legal, or is proper or correct or applied correctly. I say that we should utilize jury nullification to start the reefer revolution.
Don't you, baby, don't you, don't you, baby, don't you, don't you, don't you, don't you, don't you, don't you, baby, don't you, don't you, baby, don't you, don't you, don't you, don't you, don't you.
Reefer revolution, jury nullification, the solution. Let's talk to it. It's a celebration. NJ Weedman Day, light it up, hip hip hooray. A reefer revolution, jury nullification, the solution. Let's talk to it. It's a celebration. NJ Weedman Day, light it up, hip hip hooray. So we smoking mad weed, me and NJ Weedman and Frankie Swaggz. When you greet me, shake my hand. If you lucky, get a bag. Thank you, sir, ma'am. Drop the dub in my hand, back to the weed van. I'm just kidding, huh? But that's how they treat me. Don't you hear the sirens ringing? What they want, I ain't speeding. Maybe because my trunk beating down your block. Weed in my sock, on top there's a boot. Fresh Taylor suit, the hat say salute. Tattoos, rep the crew. It's BBS food, don't get it twisted, dude. Pull over, what it do? Smell weed, I got the blues. Cops harassing me for the medicine I choose. I can't eat, can't sleep, no excuse. Please look cute, keep your hands above the roof. Not guilty. We gon' let the jury choose.
It's a reefer revolution, jury nullification,
the solution. Let's talk to it. It's a celebration. NJ Weedman Day, light it up, hip hip hooray. It's a reefer revolution, jury nullification, the solution. Let's talk to it. It's a celebration. NJ Weedman Day, light it up, hip hip hooray.
For a lifetime now, y'all been in this war to smoke the best perk I'm fighting for. This is no part-time, this is my lifeline. Tell me why you give me time for the ganja, man. You're telling me that this a crime that's here in my hand? Please understand what's in my hand keeps me off you, man. And it's a new day, and what I'm trying to say, jury nullification setting everybody free. See, it's the healing of the nation, and then across the nation, pot heads tote 420 blazing. You turn the dial on every station, you hear the talk on how NJ Weedman beat his Jerseycation, and every day we just celebrating. He even got his own holiday tote for NJ Sakin. And while you at home waiting, we in the trenches fighting for patients with medical conditions. Give a medical condition to snitches that leave no witness. I'm representing my corner of the world with my swisher. I'ma light it up and keep it pimping. I'm rolling Granddaddy Purple and some white boys from LA to Trenton. And no, I ain't got no girl, but I gotta get me one of them. Yes, you can share the split, but you gotta bring a couple friends. and bring the drama too. We gon' talk it up all day long, celebrate with you. Yo,
a reefer revolution, jury nullification, the solution. Let's talk to it.
Yeah, we gotta take that beat long. NJ,
just a rerun, you know. Preview.
Frankie Swaggz,
exclusive.
Slingshot.
Yeah.
Oh, what did you think about that, Jason?
That was absolutely phenomenal. Thank you very much. To have it, I'm gonna take my headphones off. To have that in studio, to hear it in studio, was phenomenal.
Thank you for having us, giving us a chance to, to say it, man. We still building it. We, like she said, we just wrote it, and when we reach our final destination, we're gonna record, all the songs that we were building on the road.
The lyrics alone gave me chills because of I can relate.
Yeah,
I can totally relate.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing the story that all of us.
No worries. It's meant for everybody to feel it.
Yeah.
Somebody.
So hopefully we have some more.
We
have
one more. We got one more.
We got one more.
So I'm gonna hand the mic back over to the New Jersey Weedman.
Yeah, we have one more because we have Paris in the house too.
Paris, thank you, man.
Yes. Paris the Great.
As well, I feel honored. We've got some music here that not only is it brand new and you're hearing it first on Cannabis Health News Magazine, but also for iCannabisRadio.
Yeah.
Take it away.
All right. Check it out.
Women that I'm sexing, clients that I'm texting, come before some homies, cause they acting like bitches. That's right, they acting like bitches, and bitches turn to snitches. Homies acting phony, and I don't fuck with snitches.
Everything all good when the jar full of bud. Came through tricking on your whole neighborhood, but now it's all good cause you got what you could. Smoked on bud, so I left with a shrug. You rep your set, I bring my hood. BBS in my best to the death. Getting at me, well you better have respect. Cousin, homie, no exceptions. None under the sun, steady popping your gums while I'm feeling my lungs. Shots is pistol popping, ooh. We a son of a gun, quit frontin', son. I put you on, 20 years young with a bag full of bud. Came to the spotlight, get you some. Didn't do nothing with your bag but smoke. Toke, smoke, toke, smoke, toke and choke. Drank from cokes when you had dry throat. Holy smokes, who stole my smokes? Man, this world is cold, never sell my soul. Living in this hellhole. Are you the devil, trying to reach my level? Well, bro, the time is now or never. Heavy duty young paper shredder, I shred the cheddar. Don't get no better, I'm fucking poppin'. Young Beretta.
Women that I'm sexting, clients that I'm texting, come before some homies, cause they acting like bitches. That's right, they acting like bitches, and bitches turn to snitches. Homies acting phony, and I don't fuck with snitches. That's right, they acting like bitches, and bitches turn to snitches. Homies acting phony, and phonies can't be homies. Yep, homies acting phony, and phonies can't be homies. Fuck it, I'm just gonna get this money. The great book say thou shalt be saved, but if I don't behave, I pray that the Lord forgive me. Before him my grave, tatted on my four fingers when I know damn well that I'm living to the fullest. I might need to run it back, no clap, pretend stuck up, buck after buck. Pray I don't get stuck, so stuck and get stuck, cause I spill stuck's guts. Fact is a fact, and fact still remains. Unknown names, a name's unknown. Unknowns are the trees I blow on. I'm so gone, loose as a goose, gray goose gone. What I'm gonna do? Life could be like tests, what piece you gonna move? It don't matter, it won't matter, shit they never did. Smoke weed every day, it's my medicine. Ladies look me in the face, see I'm interested. Mouth closed, mouth open, tell me what it is. Cause I'm happy, and this is what happy is made. But the people stumbling across me lately are greatly unappreciated. Now I know that's why the more I rise, the more folk lie, the more folk die. When it's cold outside, my heat's starting on. I'm far gone, man, my mind's fun, but I'm having fun, and fun feels wrong. At the same time, fun feels right. Carpe diem, we don't get to live twice, so fuck what you say. Life I embrace, BBS bitch, ain't a thing finna change. Yeah,
that's all we do.
Women that I'm sexting, clients that I'm texting, come before some homies, cause they acting like bitches. That's right, they acting like bitches, and bitches turn to snitches. Homies acting phony, and phonies can't be homies. Homies acting phony, and phonies can't be homies. Fuck it, I'm just gonna get this money.
Yeah. That's why we decided to perform this one for you.
Exactly. You don't fuck with snitches. None.
You know?
Yeah.
You know? No snitches. PTG, Slingshot O'Reilly. You know it. Y'all hear it first. Red checks. Yeah, never been recorded before. Y'all hear it first. There's actually a prayer at the end, but I don't have that part
Wow. Wow.
Listen to
I wish people in the studio could actually hear what I'm hearing over my headphones. This is phenomenal. Thank you so much for performing that.
No
for
problem.
performing that in the studio.
Yeah.
I feel like you sent chills down my spine. Your voice is phenomenal, Paris. All the
Thanks.
girls' voice is really phenomenal. Your energy, Frankie, is really it comes right through the headphones. And that's the thing when I really realize that when I hear people's voices in studio, and then I hear on the mic, I start to really understand how all this really works.
Yeah.
So the lyrics alone, I think, will hopefully open some eyes out there. It really brings things. It sends it home for all of us. So thanks again.
Yeah.
My hope is that
PBS.
the word jury nullification goes throughout the hip hop community.
When one thing I definitely
just the introduction of the word.
Yeah, there you go.
Is it hasn't happened. It doesn't happen at school. It doesn't happen in mainstream press. But a way to get to young people, I believe, is through the music. A lot of cultural expressions are expressed in music, and this is why I had to include artists. In
creative
my
artwork.
Yeah.
It could be painting. I mean, your van, the Weedmobile, has the expression of painting and artwork and graffiti. Your lyrics and the voice and the music is the creative form of sound. I think that anything, the sculpture, what we wear, how we act, our voices, how we speak to people. Yeah.
It's all about the First Amendment.
It's our expression, and that creative expression is critical.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of questions I have for you all of a sudden, but one of the things that I do want to come back to is why you're coming through. And to bring this home, you're facing charges. You're facing an F4 felony for over 8 ounces. And tell us a little bit more about what we can do as a community for you right now. Because some of the things that came up in the lyrics of the song are things we're facing today. We need to come together and support each other as a community. We don't need those snitches. That's something that comes up in this community a lot. It's something that really is tearing us apart. And so we need to really figure out, how to make that work. But that said, tell us about what we can do for you right now.
Yep, we're living in a snitch nation nowadays. Well, it's like deja vu. Earlier I was telling you about my last case in New Jersey. Well, at this point, in April of 2010, I went home from California to visit New Jersey, and I did have a pound of marijuana with me. I got off the plane. I had my suitcase. Several hours later, I was pulled over by a New Jersey state trooper. It was the medicine I carried with me from California to New Jersey. Now I'm a card-carrying patient. I have my own medical needs, my own issues. I have the federal right to travel. We all do. Why do I have to switch medicines when I cross state lines, though? If I got my medical card issued by the state of California, why isn't my card protected? Or
there's something you bring up something here that I found out myself in my case, and I'm just finally recalling this, and that is that there's an end user law apparently, and I think it exists not only at the state level, but I'm pretty sure there's a federal end user clause or something like that that says basically if you are the end possessor of something, whatever it is, and you don't have the intent to distribute and so on and so forth, that's your right. So you're bringing up something that is very interesting. We recently have seen that the FAA says that we're not allowed to, or the feds say we're not allowed to fly with our medicine, the cannabis medicine specifically.
Exactly.
And so you've done something that, and that wasn't the issue. You're just telling us part of the story which is, I think, phenomenal to step up and say, hey, I fly with cannabis.
Right. And again, if I had a case of aspirins, I can fly from any state I want to fly, and that case of aspirins will kill you.
12 of those aspirin will probably kill
exactly.
you.
Yeah. And no amount of marijuana will. But anyway,
hey man,
ultimately in my case in New Jersey, I want to get to it real quick. Is I don't want to take a plea this time. I basically want to argue once again that the law is wrong. I think there's a huge difference in how marijuana is looked at now in 2012 as opposed to what it was in 2000 when I went to trial the first time in New Jersey. I believe over 50% of people in America believe that marijuana should be legal. I believe a jury of my peers in Burlington County, New Jersey, I believe I can get at least 5 or 6 people on my jury who also believe that marijuana should be legal. And my argument, and what I want to present as my defense, is the law is wrong. New Jersey Constitution, Article 1, Paragraph 6 specifically says, in all prosecutions, the jury may be told the truth as evidence, and the jury may judge the law as well as the facts. Anybody can look that up.
Nice.
Then why can't I present the argument then that the law is wrong? I can point out, I can show you the flaws in the law. For instance, the state of New Jersey says that marijuana is a Schedule I drug.
And has no medical value.
It has no medical value, and it's prosecuted me under this law. But yet I know that 3 months before I was arrested, the New Jersey Medical Marijuana Compassionate Use Act was passed. This specifically says marijuana has medicinal value. So why am I being prosecuted for a law that says it has no value when we all know it does, and the state has acknowledged that? I think a member of my jury would say something's wrong with that law.
Absolutely, and I hope that that's something that comes up in your case.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
I have to assume you're going to testify for yourself.
I represent myself. The reason why I represent myself is because I understand that the most powerful entity in the courtroom is not the prosecutor and is not the judge. It is the jurors. And if my life is on stake, I want to talk to the jurors myself. I want to connect with the jurors myself. I want to give my own opening statement. I want to pick the jurors. I want to give my questions, my voir questions when I pick my jurors.
I'd love to talk to you about that one. I'll share some things I did with mine.
I want to use my pot dar. I think I can walk in the crowds and pick out people who smoke marijuana just by their body language when they see me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a stereotypical pothead.
You are absolutely right. You pick up on something that it was like a poker game in the beginning. It's like you get to look at your cards, and the jury are your cards, right?
People give you eye signals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you'll get it. You'll catch it.
It was weird because I had, excuse me, in my case I had, excuse me, I'm like choking up here. I had like 5 or 6, it may have been 7 people if I remember right, that recused themselves because they said they support the cannabis law. And I'm sitting here going, why are you telling me now?
That happened to me before too. In my first trial, it seemed like every black woman that came up there wanted to say, and it happened to me. Every one of them were like, they couldn't convict me. They wouldn't want to be a part of this case. I need off the case. I'm like, yo, lady, you're who
let me ask you something.
I need you to stay on the jury and go, I'm not convicting this man. They called themselves protecting me by getting off the jury.
Now, would that same thing
totally
happen if
it.
this case was about some sort of, racial issue between 2 different racial groups, and if some juror stood up and said, well, I'm Chinese and that guy's Chinese, you have to recuse me? They wouldn't have recused the guy, right?
Right.
So why? It's interesting we're in a position where we have people who actually support what we're doing, but they are recusing themselves.
Yeah, that happens.
Or if they actually don't get recused, and people raise that question when they're going through, the questions between prosecution and defense, with your jury, they say, oh, well, you can't be on this this jury because obviously you're going to skew the case in that person's favor. So it's really fascinating to see how we're treated at this point.
It's supposed to be a prosecution jury. That's what it is.
Yeah.
What if I just stood there and every question I just asked 3 questions? Do you smoke marijuana? Have you ever smoked marijuana? And let the prosecution use up all his strikes.
Are you going to try and get cameras in the courtroom? Because I know if you ask permission,
in the courtroom.
There are
in Burlington County, New Jersey.
This is New Jersey. Is that courthouse right by the Lincoln Tunnel?
No,
Okay.
no. This is down in South Jersey. Basically, it's 20 miles north of Philadelphia, but on the Jersey side of the Delaware River.
Gotcha.
And it's for New Jerseyans, it's exit 5 of the Turnpike. But anyway, but that's one of my tactics. I think if you have a jury pool of 100 people, I'll just spend my. It's not against me though. I'll just ask those hard questions. Out of 100, there's going to be more than 12.
Do you have
smoke marijuana?
Do you have
or
supporters
smoked marijuana.
at home in New Jersey that can come and protest outside the?
Yeah,
courthouse?
there's the New Jersey Coalition of Medical Marijuana. There's
the
an
New Jersey
organization.
Coalition of Medical Marijuana. Okay.
Yeah, they're Google them. They're a big organization that has been supporting me over the years. I've been a one-man gang, and I tell you, here and there and the other. I'm not going to name any, but the bigger organizations haven't shown any support here, there, and the other, or criticized me for one reason or another.
When you say the bigger organizations, can you be specific?
Nope. I'm not going to stroke the fire.
Oh, I like pushing the boundaries on things like that.
But for the sake of this conversation, though, I will say that Ken Wolkowski, I believe is how he say his name, from the New Jersey Coalition of Medical Marijuana, has been very supportive. He totally understands the jury nullification argument. He's had protesters showed up at several of my court hearings, and
Great.
he's definitely helped me spread my Occupy my courtroom message throughout New Jersey. I believe that courtroom's not going to be able to hold the potheads that show up for my trial.
That would be fantastic, and that's something we're starting to see here.
I've gone on record also to say that I believe that I'm conviction-proof. And the reason why I say that is, for the last 15 years, I've polluted that jury. You know, they all know me as that guy, the weed man. These are voters. People who end up on juries are people who vote. I run for office every year. You know, remember I told you I ran the last 12 years? If they paid any attention to any politics, there was always weed man on the ballot.
These are the people that are long-term participants in community and news and politics, and so they know what's going on.
Yeah, so they're going to know all my arguments. And they're going to know that, they might have thought I was a wacko damn 15 years ago, but you know what? Man, he went out to California. Wow, they do this, that, and the other over there. Something's wrong with our law. We want to put him in jail for 12 years. The state of New Jersey wants to put him in jail for 12 years. And I'm going to be begging them just to let me go back to California.
Well, I think one thing that I learned about you is you have tumors that are growing out of the end of your femur.
Exactly.
And they're not cancerous, but that aside, we know that cannabis can create a condition of apoptosis for cancerous cells, but it can also reduce tumors. Mm-hmm. And so we know Irv Rosenfeld, for example, uses cannabis, and he's one of the federal patients who's allowed to use cannabis that we pay for with our taxes. And he has bone growth, so similar to what you're talking about.
I absolutely plan on bringing him up.
Great.
I have the whole little federal
Have you talked to him?
No, I've never talked to him. I met him before at some normal function in Washington, D.C. maybe 12 years ago. So I do know, and I've read up about him. I've met Elvi Masuka plenty of times.
Yeah, Elvi's wonderful.
But no.
Irv is comes out here often now. I think that he was just out here about 3 weeks ago, if I remember right. Elvi's been out here a couple times. She's a wonderful woman. And then there's also George McMahon and Barbara Douglas as well. Those are people that are definitely key to bring up in your case. But in terms of your medical condition, you do have, aside from our beliefs about social use or industrial use, in regards to medical use, you have a condition that is alleviated by cannabis. It's not just alleviated in terms of your discomfort or pain or what have you, and I'm making assumptions there, but it is also something that could potentially prevent the spreading or growth of the tumor.
Exactly. But to be honest with you, the best thing that's good for, as far as I'm concerned, is the pain. It absolutely works for pain, and it works for, it doesn't take it away, but just like takes my mind differently. It makes my mind feel it, because it's always there, to be honest with you. My leg, at this point, my leg always hurts, but I have always dealt with pain pretty good. But I have a condition that I believe that should be on the list of New Jersey's medical marijuana laws anyway, and that's another thing that I get to present to the jury, that the law is wrong. But I usually don't lead my legalization arguments with my personal medical condition. And very few people even knew I had certain conditions, but I've always said that I was a legalizer. You know, yes, I even could be called a carpetbagger for going to California. You know, and
I've heard these terms thrown around. It doesn't matter where we're doing this. This is still whole America, right? Yeah.
Right, but I've always represented myself as a soldier of civil disobedience too. So everything that I was doing in New Jersey, in California, was still reflected back to people in New Jersey that saw me as, you know, as this guy who did it. He's done it. He's whatever. And now, I always felt like when I left New Jersey, I said, I made a video. To be honest, I made a video where I say I'm coming back. You know what I mean? And I'm coming back, and I feel more like General MacArthur coming back to kick Yamamoto's ass than you know. And my analogy is I'm going back to kick Christopher Christie's ass. These are his policies that I'm getting ready to destroy with this jury nullification case.
Yeah.
And that may sound a little ballsy, but I've already made that choice to go all or nothing.
It was that salty reference that you made early on, and when you first got here. The system makes us salty, and we become abrasive ourselves. We have to, unfortunately.
Yep.
I think, honestly, a part of it comes from the apathy of our culture, you know. So I know that we've been here for quite a while.
Yes.
But
how are you going to edit this into an hour?
It's going to be amazing.
An hour right now.
It's amazing what Chris did. See?
I think we can.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
He's the magical Chris. Thank you very much to our producer, Chris Custer. This is the end of our show, folks, and I want to make sure that we get a shout-out from Frankie and Paris and Slingshot, as well as New Jersey Weedman, about how people can get in touch with you and where they can hear more of your music and your creations and how to possibly see you perform. So, Frankie, tell us a little bit more about your
Okay, thank you.
Your communication.
Thank you. Well, Frankie Swaggz, basically, Frankie, Swaggz, SWAGGZ. I have the Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff. I can't even begin to, you know, Frankie Swaggz. His name never changes. But you can go to the website always, and that's www.royalstar. That's ROYALSTARR.com. All right, and I want to say peace. I love you to my mom.
Thank you very much, Frankie. I appreciate that. And, you know, shout out to moms. This is always a good one. Hi, Mom. I don't do that often.
And
Paris, how about yourself? Tell us a little bit more about how people can get in touch with you.
We have a website. Go ahead. Well, collectively, us together, we built our own website. It's called ptgandsling.tk. It's ptgandsling.tk, and pretty much you can go on there to check out our music, to get links to our any updates that we have on upcoming events, our clothing line, her tattoos, my piercings. There's pictures of all that stuff, so you can just check us out, get on our subscriber list, and you know. If you interested in getting tattoos, you could just go to facebook.com and type in my email address, Paris, PARRIS WARDLOW @yahoo.com, and send a message.
Fantastic. Thank you all for giving a shout out to everybody and giving us your contacts as well.